How's it going, everybody? Welcome in week one. It's in the books, and we are on to week two. I have four must start players for your flexes, possibly if you're in dire need elsewhere, because I know I am, and I have some guys that I think you're going to be able to fill some of those spots for you this week in week two. Starting off with A.J. Dillon, running back of the Green Bay Packers. I know that he had a rough week with 13 carries for 19 yards. He's currently ranked as the running back 33 in Football Guys Weekly rankings. Aaron Jones is nursing a hamstring injury right now. Whether he plays or not, I believe that A.J. Dillon is in line to have a bounce back performance against the Atlanta Falcons. I know that their defense has gotten better over the course of the offseason. They looked better last week, but this is a scheme that is really built around the strengths of A.J. Dillon when they get rolling. So let's jump into the tape and see why I'm more optimistic this week that his 10 routes and 13 carries were more of just an aberration. Right here is a really great example of what the Packers do extremely well. They come out in a pseudo 22 personnel set, and what I mean by pseudo is they have two tight ends slash fullbacks lined up in the backfield, 81 DeGuara and 89 Sims. Sims is listed on the depth chart as a tight end. DeGuara is listed as a fullback. But this actually comes out box count wise as 31. You have 1, 2, 3 quote unquote running backs in the backfield, and this is very difficult to mask for a defense. And when you're running these power concepts and these gap concepts, it can get a little messy. They're going to run straight power to the right hand side. They're going to pull both of these fullbacks out to the right hand side. You're going to have a double team here that will leak to the next level. You're going to have him get here. This linebacker is going to be the one blocked here. 49's coming over here to get blocked. Leave this defensive end alone so that 81 can come over here, block out. 89 can come lead through. That's typically what you're going to see on this type of play from the Packers. They also use this formation to set up a play action pass down the field, and A.J. Dillon really works well here. So this is what he does best. Get him downhill for contact. Let him fight for yards after contact and be a bully, because he's not going to make a ton of guys miss, but he can be an effective in between the tackles guy when you're trying to get work done. Speaking of inside the tackles, we have another power concept here coming from the Packers, and he should have scored on this play. Sometimes things don't always go as the way we're looking for. We're going to see a little bit of pin pull action here, pulling the left guard and that left tight end. This time it's DeGuara lined up as a sniffer tight end. And what I mean by pin pull is you have everyone kind of pinning down, all right? Pin down, pin down. 74 is going to pull around. 50 is going to get to the next level here. 81 is going to come and pull through. And 74 is supposed to come down and block this defensive end, but he comes down the line too far, and the Packers have to deal with a cornerback coming off the edge here. So the play gets a little bit funky for a little bit, and A.J. Dillon has to do a little bit of finagling behind the line to make some guys miss right there in the hole, and then he trips over DeGuara's foot before he reaches the end zone. That should have been a touchdown for the Packers right on that play, and for A.J. Dillon. I think you can see going forward, especially next week with Aaron Jones maybe having to deal with that hamstring injury, that Dillon gets the majority, if not all, of those red zone carries. He scores on that 9 times out of 10, so I'm not too worried about that. Also, his ability to be schemed up in the passing game. I know that Jones is the pass catching guy, and I'm a huge Aaron Jones fan. I love the timing of this play, but it doesn't go for a ton, but it's a point plus the yards. Like, that's what it is. It's a point plus on these plays, and they still can scheme up A.J. Dillon. He had multiple games last year with 6+ targets. That could happen again this week, and I love the timing again from the offensive line to get out and get to their blocks. Just really good job selling up front the pass blocking right here. I'm a big fan of watching that unfold. And then when they get out in space, there is nobody there, and A.J. Dillon can work upfield for a nice modest gain there on that screenplay. So all in all, Dillon is really primed for a bounce-back game, in my opinion, against the Falcons. A game where I think the Packers could get out early. I think the Falcons are a little overrated right now at this point. I think their defense still has some ways to go. And the Packers, scheme-wise, are very, very sound. And Dillon is primed to be a guy to bounce back, like I said, after that kind of mediocre performance, less than mediocre performance. He was one of the most inefficient backs in week one across the NFL. So I think definitely in terms of getting back to that median, A.J. Dillon's a guy that I'm rolling with this week. The next player I've got for you is on the other side of the spectrum. When we're talking about that week 1, they played against the Packers. It is DJ Moore, Chicago Bears wide receiver. He's currently ranked as the wide receiver 40 on Football Guys weekly rankings. It's a tough one to swallow. You trade for this player. He's supposed to help your offense get better. He has 2 targets, 2 catches, 25 yards in week 1. That's not great. They're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, and their defense is very good. It's sound, it's stout, but I think we can kind of draw some things about DJ Moore by looking at his stats against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in his career, because he played against the Buccaneers twice a year his entire career up until this year. And in those games, he has 10.8 targets per game, 6.6 receptions, 88.3 yards, 17.7 fantasy points per game, PPR based. That is awesome. He's going to be able to, I think, produce in this game. And when we have a guy out there who's playing a majority on the outside, this is an area, I think, coming back off of their terrible performance in week 1 against the Packers, that DJ Moore is a guy that's going to be a huge proponent. You could see him getting upwards of 10 targets this week. Let's dive into the film and see what we got here. DJ Moore, fun player right down here at the bottom of your screen. Really fun concept from the Bears. You don't hear that very often, especially after week 1, but they're going to motion from right to left, and they're going to set up this sail concept, and DJ Moore comes wide open on that corner route. Unfortunately, Justin Fields checks it down. So what I mean by sail is that when we see this come over, this is actually going to open up the entire outside of the field for DJ Moore. He's jet sweep, and this sail concept, he's just going to go up the field, taking Jair Alexander with him, and that puts DJ Moore one-on-one essentially with an underneath safety defender. So this sail concept, again, is the corner with that clear out and then a flat underneath. You have the play action from the running back, and this is all set to get guys in space with that clear out. They do a great job here of actually executing it. DJ Moore sells that inside route path, breaks it off to the outside. He's wide open. Ball gets checked down. That needs to be ripped right to DJ Moore, in my opinion, especially with that clear out indicated specifically for DJ Moore to get open. So here he is at the bottom of your screen in a stack formation. Actually, they did a good job of getting DJ Moore looks not against Jair Alexander. They're going to man-on-man coverage with number 25 right here. He does an excellent job setting up that cornerback outside with a couple of steps, and then right back to the inside, cuts underneath. It's beautiful work. He stems outside, cuts back underneath, stacks that receiver, and then breaks him off to the stacks that cornerback, and then breaks him off to the outside. Very excellent hand usage, footwork, and then ability to sell the route at the top and break open. He's a little frustrated there at the end, not getting that football. But like I said, I'm expecting them to go after DJ Moore in this game against the Buccaneers, specifically because of his success and because they did trade for him in the offseason to become a huge proponent of this passing attack. And this is a game they could be down in, even though the Buccaneers' offense isn't very good. They still can score points against the Bears. So there's DJ Moore, top of your screen in the slot. A couple of times that he lined up there. He's not really known for his yards after the catch prowess, but this is a really good job of showcasing what he can do with the short area quickness. Stops, gives him a little pivot with his right foot, and gets upfield for a first down. I love the mentality here, by the way. Looks at that cornerback and then says, yeah, that's a first down. I love that stuff from DJ Moore. So he's a fun player. I think he's going to get a ton of targets this next week after the abysmal performance from the Chicago Bears offense last week. And when it comes down to it, his success against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the past is a reason you should go to him this week, on top of him being the focal point to try to show your team that Justin Fields is the guy. So wide receiver 33 for this week, wide receiver 40 currently as I'm recording this for DJ Moore, is a huge play for me in week 2. I'm coming at you with one more wide receiver, Christian Kirk, currently ranked as the wide receiver 52 this week at Football Guys. Last week was not a great showing, as we all know. That game was a little wonky. They kind of led for most of it. They didn't have to pass a ton, and Calvin really was the clear focal point. They were trying to show everybody that this is the one of one on this team. I think Christian Kirk comes back after that, but 2 targets, 1 catch for 9 yards. He played 60% of the offensive snaps against the Colts. Not great, but he's playing the Chiefs this week, and last year versus the Chiefs, he combined for 26 targets, 16 catches, 157 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This is a game that projects to be high scoring, 51-point total, and there's a couple injuries on the offensive line that could make this into a quick passing game offense where Christian Kirk plays the best, and he can continue to rack up those PPR points. I think that he gets more involved this week to try to get him back on the wagon. Let's see what that tape says from week 1 for Christian Kirk and look back at last year. So you see him in the slot on the bottom of your screen. This is where most of the time he's going to line up, and I know that Zay Jones is eating into a little bit of those snap shares. I think that as we see the season go along, that might end up flattening out a little bit, especially with them trying to throw the ball a bit more. But a really nice job here. He's going to threaten upfield, keep that defender right there. His hips turned. Watch his footwork as he gets to the top, and then he breaks off. Really nice job manipulating that DB and forcing him to stay off with his shoulders and hips to the quarterback so we can break off for a first down there. Nice catch. Was his only grab of the day. I love seeing the different ways that Doug Peterson uses his players. He's an excellent offensive mind. We've seen that in his time from Kansas City over to Philadelphia and his time here in Jacksonville. So this is a release to the outside against what looks like man coverage. It ends up being zone, and then it's a work back to the middle up the seam here. Really nice bender up the field for Christian Kirk right there. Boom. And he's wide open. I would love to see, instead of him taking off right here for a first down and then, sliding. Good job by Trevor Lawrence to do that. But settle in the pocket. Yeah, you're stepping up, step up, boom. Keep eyes in the middle of the field and then locate your guy right there. Throw that ball right there and then let Kirk run all the way to the end zone. This is a nice play. I think they might revisit it this week when they're playing the Chiefs to get Kirk a couple of touches early. But this is where I think Kirk's going to be at his best. They bring in the offense tight formation here, and then they get man coverage on with a single high safety on the back end for the Chiefs. He's excellent with his releases, gets off the line quickly, and is able to beat that corner up the field. So notice what he's doing right here. He's going to be able to stack him right there, the lean to the outside. So it's inside release, lean to the outside a little bit. Keep that corner on that outside hip. As soon as you feel him start to get a little close, boom, you break it off. So much fun to watch that work right there with the head movement at the top of the route all the way over for a big play for Jacksonville. So I think overall, he's still a very good player. I think we all know that. He's the second highest paid player. Not second highest paid. He's probably the highest paid wide receiver right now. But he's going to be involved this week, I think, especially in a game that's going to be high scoring against the Chiefs. The Chiefs lost week 1. I expect them to come out guns blazing. Looks like Travis Kelce's going to play. So all hands on deck for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Christian Kirk is a big player, a big part of that offense. He's going to bounce back. Wide receiver 52 is a little bit low for me. I'm absolutely still in with Christian Kirk this week, so he's an absolute start for me. Last guy for you. We are back with the tight ends. This landscape's not looking great for tight ends, so trying to find ways to get some players that maybe aren't going to do a lot that people didn't expect to, that are going to break out this year. Granson currently ranked as the tight end 27 on Football Guys weekly rankings. And last week was something I didn't expect to see, but with the Jelani Woods injury, Mo Alley-Cox, who they've really determined to be a pass blocking and run blocking tight end, Kyle Granson's been that guy. He finished week 1 with 6 targets for 4 catches and 39 yards. I know that's a very modest stat line, but looking across the rest of the tight ends in the NFL, it looked pretty good. He had 9.8 yards per reception. He was on the field, and when he was on the field, his 97.1% route participation. So every time he's out there, basically, he's running a route. 20 slot snaps, 3 out wide, and 11 in line. They also moved him around in the backfield a little bit. So they really like his versatility in the offense, and they're trying to get him more involved in the passing game. Young quarterbacks love those reliable tight ends. Granson looks to be the guy that Anthony Richardson wants to go to outside of Michael Pittman. He was second on their team in targets last week. Pittman had 8, Granson had 6, so that shows you there. 16.2% target shares, 10th among tight ends in week 1. Let's see exactly why he was able to earn that and be a pretty big focal point, honestly, for this offense that I think is going to get better as the season goes along under Shane Steichen. So lined up basically as that sniffing tight end, pass blocking to the tight end screen. I love that kind of stuff. This has been so prevalent in the NFL over the last couple of years. Granson does a good job of getting that defensive end up the field, turning around, catching that football, getting upfield for some yards after the catch. Those are valuable, really, really valuable targets for tight ends. It makes it so they don't have to deal with a ton of contact, and it gets them into ability to build up that speed, which Granson actually is a very good athlete, a good player to mismatch against tight ends, against linebackers, corners, safeties. He's a very, very useful player. This was just such a fun concept. I had to include it. He doesn't get the target here, but he's wide, wide open. A nice little offset stack formation from Michael Pittman Jr. and Kyle Granson sells the out route combined with this deep post. It's just such a really fun concept here, with Pittman going to release this to the outside and then take that safety, this deep player right here, up the middle of the field. Granson's going to do a nice job selling the out route and then go right up the right-hand sideline. He's wide open. These are the kind of things that I'm looking for in tight end play. Are you being used? How are you being used? And are you running deep routes down the field? Right here would have been nice to see Anthony Richardson get to that read, but he's looking for the first down. It also draws open that running back. So Granson doesn't get the target here, but a fun concept to be able to look at going forward and say, hey, maybe we hit a touchdown on this play. Next time, hold it for just a second, and then we can see. So that's also another area. And then we see him once again, this time in the slot. So we've got two, like in the slot, one almost essentially a reduced split tight end look, and then in line. So they are really using him in multiple different ways. A fun little zone beater here, an understanding of where he needs to be, combined with a little bit of a physicality catch right there, shielding that football. So what I liked about this so far is that you can see that he's going to work just in the middle of the field, but the contact here, he knows that the contact's going to come, and as soon as he sees it, he feels it, he gets right inside. Right there, he breaks open over the middle, catches that football, shields it from the incoming defender, Jenkins, coming downhill to try and jar that ball loose. So he's done a good job of establishing himself as a trustworthy player, someone who's going to catch that football, shield it from those defenders, and be able to get out of there with a catch and a first down, move the chains, keep the offense on time. So I think Anthony Richardson is developing a connection there with, Pittman as well as Granson. So those are two players to definitely watch. But in terms of tight end usage, this is very encouraging for a player that I didn't expect to be used this way. So when I see him ranked as the tight end 27 this week, I'm all in on playing this guy, especially with the landscape we're seeing. Greg Dulcich is hurt. There's a lot of different things that are happening. You might have to play somebody you didn't expect to. Kyle Granson is that guy this week. I hope you enjoyed all of the breakdown here. We're going to keep this going all throughout the season, get better, try to get more usage, especially with more film. It'll be a lot more fun to get into these guys as the season goes along. So good luck in your fantasy leagues this week. Have yourselves a fantastic day, a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you guys next time.